Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic the Examiner. We're here with the Redison rock star himself, Keith Nelson of Buckcherry. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Absolutely wonderful. It's great to have you back here in Boise. It's been a long time. So you guys have the great new album out, Confessions, and it's just a lot to talk about. We'll try and bang it out because I know you got stuff
Thanks.
to do.
Beautiful city you have here.
Of course, you guys, after a week of sunshine and everything, you show up for the 2 days of rain. So
it's all right.
Now you produced the new album, Confessions. And it's also the band's first concept album. Did that sort of alter how you approached the record, and was there more or less freedom in doing that? Or?
There's a lot more freedom. With the subject matter and the storyline, it really freed us up to experiment with things and try things kind of outside of where we were comfortable. Mm-hmm. So it's the perfect excuse to do things like an acoustic song, or orchestrate with some strings, or spoken word like Pride. Things like that.
Right. You worked a little bit with Marty Fredrickson on this one too, right?
Yeah, he's a co-producer, yes.
Right. So, who's great in his own right,
yes.
So it must have been nice. Well, and you've worked with him before.
Yes, we have.
On one of the previous albums, so. Now, the Deadly Sins concept, I have to ask, because I know it was based on Josh's life, but what about you? Which of the deadly sins are you perhaps most guilty of?
All of them, really. I think that's one of the things that we talk about as a band is those 7 sins actually are they reveal themselves in each one of our lives, unfortunately or fortunately. And really the record started out as an idea to do a 7-song EP based on those sins. Mm-hmm. And as we were writing songs, we pushed Josh to come up with a story behind the songs he was writing, and he had been working on a screenplay loosely based on his life. Mm-hmm. And he married the two ideas together and really took off with it, and you have a really incredible story that he wrote that goes with the songs.
Right, sort of turned into a full-on film, or at least an hour or so of it anyway.
Yeah, hopefully. We do have a script for a film, a short film.
Right.
And we are looking at getting that made sometime in the near future.
Sweet. Well, that'll be an awesome thing to see. And I have to ask you, as a guitarist, your influences and inspirations have been pretty well covered, but I've always wondered, because you're an incredible songwriter, and I've always sort of wondered, who did you look to in terms of songwriting inspiration? Who did you sort of pick from to create the template for writing?
I mean, so many different songwriters have inspired me, from Carole King to Bruce Springsteen to Tom Petty to Muddy Waters and Willie Dixon, and blues artists and pop songwriters, and everything kind of really. I'm a fan of music. I think we all are. So all those songwriters have inspired us, and then musically, I think our influences are pretty diverse, yet all within the realm of rock and roll, blues, country.
Right. I remember last time we talked a little cross-Canadian ragweed. So.
That's right. That's right.
Now, you've been doing this for 2 decades now. What's the most important lesson you've learned in that time?
Oh, yeah, in the past 2 decades, pack light. Just pack light. 2-3 pairs of socks, a pair of jeans, and 2 t-shirts, and let's get on the road. I used to lug around a suitcase that was just packed full of everything I owned, and now it's like I travel with nothing.
Minimalist, you're the Jack Reacher of rock and roll.
That's right.
So, you're older and wiser now, obviously. How do you maintain your sense of normalcy out on the road? How do you keep yourself centered in the midst of the mayhem and social ignorance?
Well, we spend the majority of our lives on the road, so really maintaining some sort of normalcy is all about going home frequently. So I go home to my house probably, every 10 days or so, and it's nice to actually get home, open your mail, sit on your own couch. That way you can stay on the road for 365 days a year, because you're always traveling back and forth. So that's really what this life is like now, is always constantly traveling back and forth.
Right. It's changed a little bit since you guys started the whole music industry and all that. And over the course of that 20 years, obviously you played with some amazing talents, and both as a guitarist and a songwriter, you always sit down and talk with each other when you're on the road. What are some of the key things you picked up from other players, and who were they?
Wow, so many things. Like having the opportunity to open for AC/DC and see Malcolm and Angus and see just the way their rigs are and how they travel and how their technicians work with them, that was really an eye-opening experience. There's a guy named Trace Foster that is the technician for Joe Perry. He was really helpful with a lot of advice. And then then you go out and you see artists that do things, and you go, that's exactly what I don't want to be doing. So there's a lesson to be learned on both sides.
Right, and of course now you're paying it forward to other bands and such. So you are a Les Paul guy in particular. Your 59 Les Paul Sunburst is your baby. What is it about that guitar that resonates so much with you?
Man, I don't know. That was really my holy grail guitar for a long time. It still is, and I could never even dreamed of owning one. And the planets aligned, and I actually ended up owning one. And then it's a life-changing guitar. It really is. It's really hard to describe, and until you actually play one, it's hard to even impart that to somebody that doesn't understand it, or hasn't played it. But once you play it, you can't unring that bell. And in the last 6 months, we've actually brought that guitar out on the road, and we're playing it every night. So
you finally broke that barrier. I know for a while you just wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it, and then I realized I was talking about the guitar more than I was playing it. So now I'm playing it more than I'm talking about it, which is the way it should be.
Nice. So before we get out of here, just a few quick questions for fun. Share with us a tidbit of trivia, if you will, from the Buckcherry catalog that fans wouldn't know.
Fans would not know. We recorded for the movies as a demo after we finished our first record. We finished the first record, and we were in rehearsals, and had just gotten a little bit of advance money from the record label, so we all put a little bit of money in our pockets. And we went into rehearsals and we wrote that song. And we just took it upon ourselves. We went back into the studio where we had done all our demos and recorded that song, and then the record label heard it and loved it and put it exactly on the record, just the way we had it.
Sweet.
So it was a complete afterthought.
How do you, it's crazy being out on the road, and as we get older, obviously our bodies change and everything. How do you manage to stay healthy with being out on tour so much?
It's really, really simple. We're all in some sort of exercise or non-rock and roll related activity, which really helps. And then, when you prioritize things that the show is the most important thing, then you realize that there's a certain amount of things physically you have to keep in order to do it with the vigor that we do it. So having a good set of priorities really helps.
And so for you, it's bowling.
Well, bowling is definitely part of it, because I got to go get away from guitars and tour buses and things like that. Right,
and you're also an avid reader. Any particular genre or authors?
All kinds of stuff. Mostly true crime is what I like.
Nice. I not only read a lot of that, I write a lot of that, so it's always nice to know. Okay, 2 quick ones before we get out of here. Pay it forward. You see tons of unsigned bands out on tour. Is there one unsigned band that you've seen that people should maybe be aware of?
Not recently, I haven't. Most of the bands that we've been playing with lately have been bands that have had record deals, but there are a lot of bands that are just hovering under the spotlight of complete stardom, like Blackberry Smoke, like Vintage Trouble.
Great band.
Bands like that I just really love, that I really hope people get hip to.
Nice. And the pointless question of the week: if you could take any current pop culture trend or person and eradicate it immediately, who or what would it be?
The smartphone.
The smartphone.
People spend more time on their phones than they do interacting with each other, and then they come to shows and they watch the show through their phone instead of having that experience. And that's, as much as I love my telephone, and it's such a great tool to navigating the world with, it's really minimized conversation and being in the moment, and that's not a good thing, I don't think.
Awesome. Keith Nelson of Buckcherry, the new album Confessions, absolutely awesome, here tonight in Boise. Thanks for taking the time.
Man.